Hi, and welcome to the latest edition of Urban Myths and Legends. Today we're going to take you through a stroll through the haunted Mount Misery Road. We have it broken up into 3 sites. So today on our journey, we're going to show you Site 1, Site 2, and Site 3. So come along with us as we go down Mount Misery Road.
Mount Misery Road actually got its name from early settlers who would have a hard time getting their horses and carriages through here, and the Native Americans actually believed this land was cursed. You couldn't farm here, no life could really be supported here. There's rumored to have been in the early 1700s an actual a mental hospital in the woods here, and it's rumored that a patient named Mary actually broke out, burnt the hospital down. Patients supposedly died in the fire. They rebuilt the hospital. She burnt it down again, and then after the 3rd time rebuilding it, she burnt it down, they left it, and supposedly you can still find the foundation to this hospital in the woods today.
You first turn onto this road. On the left-hand side, there is a old Huntington Historical Cemetery. You really can't see any more stones or anything like that. I don't know when it was established, but that's been there since we started coming here. I don't know if some of that activity from down the road is affecting this area as well, but that's why we do this.
Who knows how big that cemetery actually was,
Right.
and what's been replaced with it by modern man now. So some of the urban myths that exist here at Mount Misery Road is while you're driving on the street, you'll see a cop that has his lights on, and he'll pull you over to the side of the road. And whenever he pulls you over, he comes up to your car, asks you for your license and registration. And while he's walking away, you'll notice that there's a big hole in the back of his head. It looks like he was shot. Another one is that on the street, they say that you can see ghost kids walking down the pathway. And that is actually something that we've experienced while here at Mount Misery Road. And the 3rd one, there's a story of a lady in white. And it was about this boyfriend and girlfriend that were fighting in the car, and she either jumped out of the car and was hit by the car behind her, or the boyfriend pushed her out of the car. So to this day, they'll say that you'll see a lady in white walking down the side of the street, and what she'll do is as you're driving past, she'll jump in front of your car, trying to scare you to drive you off the road. So here we are at Mount Misery Road, Site 1. We've been investigating this location since 2003 when the group began. Over in this area, one of my first experiences back in 2007 was when I reached out and I asked if there was somebody there, if they could please grab a hold of my arm. While my arm was extended out, I started to feel a tingling sensation. And at that moment, we were able to confirm that in this area with the surface temperature thermometer, there was a 15-degree difference in this area than from the rest of my arm. At that moment, co-founder Rob Levine snapped a photo, and we have an image of what appears to be a ball of light shooting out of my arm.
There was also another night we came here. It was towards winter time, and we came out here, and it was really cold that night. So to warm up, we're like, you know what, let's take the digital audio recorder, we'll leave it on a stump in the woods, and we'll go warm up in the cars for like 5-10 minutes, and then we'll come back, get the recorder, and we'll leave. So we did that, and while we were in the car, we were talking about, you know, what would happen if we went back and the recorder was gone? Or we get back and the recorder's like smashed into a bunch of pieces. So about 10 minutes later, we retrieve the recorder, nothing happened, it didn't move at all, and we go home for the night. So as I'm doing my analysis, here, it sounds like if I took like a stick and just whacked the recorder, bam. So that was kind of weird because at that time we were actually in the car talking about what would happen if the recorder got smacked up to a bunch of pieces or stolen. So these are the occurrences that happened here at Mount Misery Road, Site 1. Prior to that, one of my first experiences ever with this group was actually here at Site 1. We were actually in the woods investigating, getting ready to start to wrap it up. So we cut out and we start walking back to the cars on the street, and we got an interference on a walkie of Morse code. So one of the guys in the group was like, I think that was me. And it happened again. He's like, that wasn't me. So we go back in and we start asking questions, and we asked a lot of questions like, you know, what happened here? How long have you been here? Were you tortured here? And we got a response that said, there are more of us here on the walkies. So we were like, everyone kind of froze. One of the girls in the group was like, can we please leave? Can we please leave? So we sent her back with the other team. So we stayed, asked more questions, and at that point, started downpouring. Wind picked up, and we're like, all right, let's call it. Get back in the cars and go home. So right to the left of me from here is a green fence, and we're taking random photos through the 35mm camera, and we caught a weird mist that we couldn't explain. Another time we're investigating all around this area, and we're doing EVP questions, and there's a bush. It looked like if somebody walked right through the bush, but none of us walked through the bush. There was nobody there. Our video camera actually caught the tail end of the bush coming back up, which is really weird. We also caught quite a bit of EVPs here. A lot of times we get children's voices. Class B and Class C is what we usually catch in this area.
Oh, Mikey?
And get home and go to sleep.
Oh, well, I know when we were investigating the street, it's right behind the camera here, just some kind of phantom ball, I don't know. While we were standing there, it just like came at us. And we hit the dirt. All four of us hit the dirt because it seemed like somebody threw something at us, and there was nothing there.
Like, the hell was that?
No sound, no nothing. Yeah. And that was really wild.
It was definitely a weird experience. I'll never forget that.
And that's everything that we have here at Mount Misery Road Site 1. Follow us on our journey as we continue to Mount Misery Road Site 2, and we go over more of our experiences there.
All right, so back in 2006, when we came here, it was our first night investigating this location at Site 2. And we had a group about, I think it was like between 8 and 10 of us. And I was the last guy in. So we were kind of walking on this pathway, single file. And we just started walking down, like we normally do with every investigation. That night that we walked in here, when you first come to a location where you've never been before, especially being out in the woods, you definitely start to feel, you get that like excited feeling, and anxiety, you know, that anxious feeling, because you don't really know what's in here. So I'm the last guy in, and I kept feeling like there was something behind me. So I would like stop, and they would keep going, and I would look back, and I would see like shadow people just cross this pathway and like hide behind the trees. I didn't say anything to anybody. I didn't want to freak anybody out. So kept going. I always stop again, look. You feel like you're being watched. Shadow person would cross again, and I'll be like, all right, I'm not gonna say nothing. Probably right around this area, we started getting like interference on the walkies, like that sound. I think some of the members were like, oh, we got interference. And I'm like, yeah, it's probably nothing, you know, it's probably the radio tower. Because there's a radio tower not far from here, over at Site 1. So we really didn't think much of it. We see up ahead a red fire hydrant, and there's another pathway that's off of that. And we figured that was kind of weird, being that the fire hydrant's in the middle of the woods, so being on this pathway, and with the whole hospital thing, we were like, all right, maybe there's some kind of connection. Right here is where the walkie-talkie, we got a communication through the walkie. A voice came on and said, they're here. And we were everyone kind of just froze. And it said it again, they're here. I'm like, somebody ask EVP questions. So one of our investigators, Jan, goes, if you hear it now, can you tell me your name? Communication comes through. My name is...
Somebody's here now. Please tell us your name.
He's trying to communicate with us, trying to keep the signal going. So we're like, stick your walkies up, you know, try to keep that signal going. And then the same voice comes on, and it says, please help me, I'm burning.
Stop, Mike. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. If somebody's here, please give us a sign that you're here with us.
Same voice comes on. Please let me out. I'm burning. I'm burning.
Over here. Stop. Please let me out. Please let me out.
It basically cuts out with a lot of interference, and it goes, woman.
Jan, is anybody here right now? Would like to speak with us?
Move it around, move it around, move it around. Stop, stop, stop where you are. Move it around, move it around.
This lasted about 1 minute and 45 seconds, and then just cut out and died. And that's it for the entire night. We've investigated here multiple times after that night. Never got it back. Mount Misery Site 2, that was one of our biggest pieces of evidence. So we think that the hospital is down this pathway, and this is where some of the foundation is. We feel that way because the fire hydrant's over here. We have these really old posts. It used to be like there was some type of fencing here or some kind of gate leading down this way. This is another section of Mount Misery Site 2. We call it the pit. When you do come here, though, at nighttime, you feel like you're being surrounded and watched, especially from like up above. You'll see shadow people as well dart across up top, and you get that real eerie feeling in this area. So we've never really caught any hard evidence here in the past, but we have had some personal experiences.
So here in Site 3 is where the pathway forks. This is the main fork that we come down, where we have the most paranormal experiences. This is like a line right here that some days you can feel okay to come down there, but once you go down there, you end up regretting it. Or it's so intense, you can't even make that turn. It was a team of myself, Shannon, and Mike. Mike wasn't feeling too well that one night, and so he was kind of out of it. But Shannon was like, I'm staying here, I'm standing my ground, I'm not moving. And as soon as she said that, a voice got in her head and was like, get out now. And she was like, okay, I guess we're leaving. And she walked out of the pathway and we stayed out. And I know a lot of us have gone down this pathway. There was one time myself, Shannon, Teresa, we were looking down the pathway and we saw what was a ball of light. And how I viewed it was the ball of light was like amberish, and it, to me, mutated into like some kind of dog thing that lunged at us. As soon as I saw that, after checking my pants, we all like got out and walked away. Another thing that's happened is growling. You hear like dog like walking in here in these woods, and like growling that would pinpoint people, and it would pinpoint me, or it would pinpoint Mike or Shannon or Brandon, and each of us would hear this at separate times. It was really, really strange. Another time I got literally a taste of like copper, dried blood in my mouth just standing in here.
I was in a team that went down this pathway, and we decided to, it was coming towards the end, so we were going to meet over here. So my team starts coming back over here, and all of a sudden I start feeling nauseous. The whole night they were saying, yeah, like all of us feel nauseous down this pathway.
Yeah.
And it was just weird because I didn't even know that. And I came down here and I just felt so sick to my stomach out of nowhere. The minute I came out, I was completely fine. So that's one of my experiences over here.
I've been down this pathway, and sometimes you'll see it look like almost like glowing red eyes in the distance that almost look like they're watching you. I know I came here one night with a few members of the team, and we were down this pathway, and we just felt like we were completely being surrounded. It made us all feel really uncomfortable, so we all decided to get into a circle facing outward, so that if there was anything running around us, we would be able to see it. Like it couldn't pass anyone's field of view. One investigator I was with said something whispered right in his ear, and it freaked him out. He was completely freaked after that. So we decided to do an Echovox session. And we were asking, is there anyone in here, like, in these woods? What happened to you? And all you hear is, die, dead, die. And that was definitely really freaky, so we decided to call the investigation after that.
This pathway right here is probably where you have the heaviest experiences in Mount Misery in general. Yeah. So right here is the main pathway where we were coming out, and myself and Shannon were walking towards the back, and we looked back from behind the camera to up this little pathway here, this little like dug out area. She saw like a weird looking creature skitter around, and she's like, did you see that? And I'm like, what? She said, that right there. I actually approached this figure that was low on the ground, and as I leaned in, I literally had to adjust my eyes to see what I was looking at. And as I was looking at this thing, the eyes like kind of started to come into focus, and it was two red eyes sunken in with a snout, but it looked like a lizard and it had more like a pig type face. And what was super weird about it was like, as soon as we saw it, Mike told us not to say anything to each other. So we went all the way back to the office without saying a word about the incident. We sat on two separate ends of the room without discussing it. We drew something that matched 90%. And Shannon, being psychic, actually picked up a name that was associated with the creature that we saw skid across the ground. Mike checked our demonology book as a known demon. Mike then went online and did a search for that demon on Google to see what it looked like. And the drawings that we were finding online actually matched what me and Shannon drew. So it was really crazy, it was really wild, and it's probably the most intense thing I have ever seen, and one of the scariest things. So when we were here, after we had seen that lizard thing, we were coming out. And at that point, Mike and I decided we were gonna be the end barrier. So we sent everyone out ahead of us, and then at some point, you started hearing like a dog running up behind you. And at the same time, we literally thought a dog like ran into our legs and kept going. And that was the same night we were hearing the growling, having the odd smells, all that stuff.
We were the last people out, and then we get to the fence. Everyone goes ahead, and we say
a prayer.
St. Michael prayer with the car down, and Shannon stopped. Everyone went ahead, and she's like, I just walked out with a kid holding my hand. She felt like it was small, not tall presence at all. It walk her out. She was just like frozen. I think what's here, you have something extremely negative here, but then I feel like there's other things here that are asking for help.
Another thing that happened here was when we came into the pathway and we stopped, and you could actually hear like an audible woman screaming.
Yeah.
And it got louder and louder and louder. It sounded like it was approaching us, and we're looking dead into the street, and you can't see anything coming. And at the same time, you hear an EVP of a little kid, very raspy little kid, saying in my audio, what is this? What is it?
Go.
So those are just some of the experiences that we've had just coming in to Mount Misery Road Site 3. So right here, when we came out after investigating, Mike and I came here while the group moved on ahead, and we did the prayer of St. Michael. And what we did then was Mike took a card, the prayer of St. Michael that we have printed, and left it right here. After we did that, we turned around to walk away down the path towards our cars, and you heard a woman laugh at me and Mike, like audibly laugh at us. And it was really crazy that we heard an audible laugh at us and the audios didn't even pick it up.
Since 2003, investigating all three sites, Site 1, 2, and 3, I would definitely say Site 3 has probably the most activity. From anything from simple EVPs all the way up to almost like a demonic level. I would say Mount Misery Road is one of the most haunted locations here on Long Island.